like how you like connect honey, whatever, like bees with taxes. It's still like I'm like how it's
Yeah, I'm grateful
is that
for
connected?
for the gift of synthesis.
Yes. Man, I'm so tired. I'm tired after the church. Like you're saying, but I want to record. I'm like, I don't want to do it, but actually, it is good because it's also it's also pushing me out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
So, all right. Um, Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or
Hey,
good
guys.
evening, wherever you're listening this podcast. Hey guys, we are excited to share something today with you, and this is gonna be super interesting and helpful, I believe, for anybody who's interesting in not in only taxes, life,
That's right.
life, your maybe future plans, your future dreams. We will share the helpful information about something that drives our lives. The motives, the psychology of our thinking, psychology of decision making, and how we can, just level up our lives to the point where we, take charge in certain areas,
Yep.
not procrastinate and so on. Okay, not gonna tell everything
Yeah.
at the beginning. Okay, so yeah, Vasyl, how is how are you, and would you like to start with some topic that
Yeah, so I told Vasyl that we're gonna talk about a so-called Zhanna approach, and
Yeah.
Vasyl is like, Zhanna, which Zhanna? So let me tell you what I mean about what I call Zhanna approach. So it's actually a combination of two principles. The Z, so Zhanna, the way you spell Zhanna will be Zhana, Zhanna. So it's based on the first two letters of each of the two principles. The first one, Z, stands for Zeigernic effect, and the second, H, stands for Hemingway rule. So I combined Z and H together, and I thought, what does it remind me of? And it reminds me of Zhanna. And the reason it reminds me of Zhanna is because when my son Freddie was getting born, the doctor at Maria's labor is a lady from Ukraine named Zhanna. So it really, I associate Zhanna now with the birth of a new life. So let me propose that if we implement the Zhanna approach that we'll dissect in a little bit, it's gonna birth a new stage of a life when we are less hung up and when we are more productive. So going back to the elements, that the first element of Zhanna approach is Zeigernic effect. Vasyl, could you explain how you understand Zeigernic effect?
Yeah, so for now, what I just read in this quick journal article, and it's just that whenever you're not finishing your task or something that you may do for the next day, you will probably remember it much more, because once you just finished any task or the thing that you're doing, maybe um, reading something or writing something, anything, it stops your brain from thinking, and you just tend to forget about the thing in the future. Yeah.
Well, you see, so yeah, like as Vasyl mentioned, it has to do with uncompleted tasks, and then psychology Zeigarnik asks yourself a question: if we don't complete certain tasks throughout the day, what effect does it have on our productivity? And what she found out through studies and experiments, that suppose we have 3 tasks, uncompleted major tasks, but uncompleted tasks at the end of the day. What it's going to do to our subconscious is it's really going to mess and bother our subconscious. And if we go to bed, the quality of sleep is not going to be high, and that's one of the reasons. There are multiple reasons why we can wake up tired, but that can be one of the reasons we wake up tired, because we slept, but we didn't have good quality sleep because our subconscious was disturbed by different uncompleted tasks and not knowing what to do about them, not having a concrete plan of how we are going to address or accomplish them. So Zeigernic proposed that one way we address that is by creating a brief plan, 3-step plan for the next day. So we write down 3 major tasks, for example, for a business life, and 3 main tasks for our personal life. And that way we quiet down our subconscious, and our mind knows exactly what we are going to do the following day. And that way our subconscious is much quieter, much more at peace, so we can have much better and more quality sleep, and we wake up rested and know what we are going to do. But not only that, but as we are sleeping, our mind is processing the information and creating the ways and pathways of how to accomplish 3 of those things we wrote down. So it's a win-win all around. That's Zeigernic approach, and we are talking about one day at a time. And Vasyl and I were talking about some biblical principles about one day at a time. Vasyl, could you mention what we were discussing biblically about one day at a time perspective?
Yeah, so the Lord's Prayer, give us today our daily bread. Mm-hmm. And, the fact that the rest is so on and so forth. But give us today our daily bread. Mm-hmm. There's something about today that, like, every human being needs to learn how to be in this exact moment of time, because we can be in the past. Sometimes we can think about the future, about strategy and stuff, and it's good to think about future, and
to have some overall strategy for the future. It's a good thing.
Yeah, but also it's even more important to learn to be in today. There's only a brief moment between past and the future.
Or we can say split second. There is only a split second. That would be a good one.
And in that split second, it's called life.
Because on one hand, it seems like 70, 80 years seems like a long time, but then from the perspective of infinity, it's a split second.
Yeah.
And so we discussed, give us today a daily bread, and we also discussed another passage where Jesus says, do not worry about tomorrow, for each day has enough of its own worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would you say about that one?
Do not worry. Wow. As human beings, we tend naturally to worry about things. Yeah. But there's always, I think, worry starts when we are not prepared for something, we're not sure about something. So it's always like our subconscious maybe saying something to us that we even not sure about.
Yeah, it's going to trouble our subconscious really bad.
Yeah.
And sometimes we cannot say, why am I worried? But because something is stuck in our subconscious and we are not taking some action, and our subconscious is acting out.
Yeah. Maybe not like always you are worried because there is some physical
immediate danger
or something, like war or something. Mm-hmm. That's not always the case, right? But we're worrying about things generally. So, Jesus was right when when he was referring to this, because he knew that people are worrying. And and when we learning to be satisfied, maybe to also live today, not think about tomorrow, not worry about tomorrow.
See, carpe
Just
diem, that Latin
do-
expression, carpe diem, seize the day.
Seize the day. Well,
Yeah.
I like it. That's when the satisfaction comes, because the life, it's the process. It's not the life is continuation, right? It's not the exact point or something.
It's like
just
change of seasons,
Uh-huh.
change of age, from one age to the next stage, change of generations,
Yeah.
change of epochs, change of civilizations. It's
Yeah, if we believe, right,
it's
if we
continuous process.
that there's maybe people who believe in bigger reality, that spiritual reality of God, which is, we believe it's infinite.
As
and-
the ultimate infinite reality.
Yeah, so it's just we also think that life never even ceased to exist, because we
Right.
created to be eternal beings also. So if we think about this way, we can see life, and also um, we can find the peace when we think this way, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Paul was talking about the corruptible becoming incorruptible. So you see, if we start from the point of corruptible, of our finite human minds and our corrupt human bodies, we're gonna get back to the corruptible. The ashes will go back to ashes. Corruptible will turn into corruptible again.
Yeah.
If we take corruptible as a starting point, but if we start from the incorruptible, infinite reality, then it doesn't have to end in the decay and corruption of our earthly bodies, but we can get to a higher state,
Yeah.
like a higher state of God consciousness and presence of God in our lives.
Mm.
So when we start with our corruptible
Mm-hmm.
corruptible concerns, meaning we start doubting where our provisions will come from, or
Mm-hmm.
doubting that God is capable to inspire a thinking in such a way that we will provide for ourselves and our families, and also can help out others in the community. If you start with the incorruptible point, we can get to that incorruptible path. But if you start with only with corruptible in mind, excluding the incorruptible, then the only point will be ash returning to ashes.
Yeah. Mm. I'm honestly, I'm feeling sorry for some people that, doesn't have the hope for the next phase. I would say period of
so-called
life, right?
nihilistic approach that
Mhm.
we die and that's it. That's all there is.
Mhm.
The philosophical school known as nihilism,
Yeah.
or nothingness.
Yeah. And we're not against philosophy. There's good, it's even now, like, reflecting on things, it's some kind of, philosophical
That's right.
exercise, whatever.
It's a philosophical discourse.
Yes, there is good philosophy, and some philosophy that's maybe, just searching for something, right? But not exact, representing the exact reality that were created by the creator. So, but yeah.
Yeah, so how do you think, the viewers may be thinking they went off of tangent here with this Zeigernic approach. What does it have to do with my back taxes?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. again, the approach is about calming down your worry by doing small steps of prioritizing certain things in your life, maybe just to do this um, just baby steps towards resolving small areas of the tax problems that or finances.
Yeah, and just to give you a case in point, so before the IRS, before we can negotiate with the IRS anything on your behalf, we got to bring you in compliance first. And to bring you in compliance in the eyes of the IRS means to file for at least 6 last years of taxes. So you see that hence it creates a scope for you. You don't have to worry about the entire period. Yes, at the transcript review stage, we assess the collection statutes and we assess the entire situation, but then we start with focusing on getting you in compliance for the last 6 years. That's our first step. We don't have to focus on the entire period. Then after getting you into compliance, we can enter the negotiation process. But before we get you in compliance, we cannot even negotiate anything on your behalf. So it's like focusing, narrowing down. Let's not jump the gun and go to the future into the future too much. Let's focus on getting you in compliance first. So that would be an example of it. And then we get to the H of Zhanna approach, which is Hemingway rule. Could you tell the viewers your understanding of the Hemingway rule?
Mm-hmm. You know what? When you first told me, I really liked it because it connects to my creative process when I do some writing music or recording something. So what was funny for me that he did it's like interrupted himself at the moment.
Yes. So when he said he means Ernest Hemingway, the writer. So hence that was Ernest Hemingway's approach to writing.
Yeah, the super popular writer. So like when he interrupted himself at the very point when he felt I can like maybe write 10 pages of something, whatever, and it's so cool because. And also you mentioned night, that he did a lot of writing at night or something, right? Wow, it's so okay, I can just like connect at least 10 things, but just go ahead with something.
So like to summarize that point, so you're writing something, you're writing an essay, and then it's a long essay. So then the question is, when do I stop for tonight? So imagine you have 2 weeks to write some major piece, some major paper. You have 2 weeks, then you break it down by day, and it's like, how do I know where to stop? And Hemingway's answer would be, as Vasyl said, when you're writing, and then you get to the point where your creative juices are really running and you're so excited and you could write a lot, then you stop at that point. Because if you stop at that point, the following day when you're gonna start again, resume, you can write easily. But if the previous day you wrote all the way to the end and you're so tired and you're like, put a period, and you exhausted all your creative thought for that day, you go to bed. Then the following day you will want to resume your writing. A lot of people have writer's block because they exhausted all of those creative juices the night prior. But if they cut it off right when those creative juices are flowing, it's much easier to resume your writing the following day and hence be more productive and efficient with your timeline for your writing. So on one hand we have Zeigernic effect, which tells us if you have uncompleted tasks, it will really disrupt your subconscious, it will make it difficult for you, hence write it down. And then we have Hemingway rule that says, actually, don't complete your tasks, leave them uncompleted. So you have a bit of a contradiction here. How would you say we reconciled that apparent contradiction between Zeigarnik effect and Hemingway rule?
Okay. Yeah, as I think about it, in a popular culture now we tend to think about people as extroverts and introverts, and that there is only one or the other, but there is something also in the middle. There's also a term for it. I
Yeah,
forgot.
ambivert,
Ambivert?
in between. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like it sounds like what you want to say that sometimes people want to say option A or option B. They just force you to choose just between this option
Yeah.
or that option, but often both are true in their own way.
Balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking about balance and balancing, knowing yourself first, right? Because if you don't know where you are, it's gonna have difficulty to do steps. But um, it's about being more intentional in your thinking, proactive, intentional. There's 10 more words that we can say about this, but just be focused and kind of find where you are to start off with the small steps.
Yeah, so one way to reconcile that apparent contradiction would be to apply it in different levels. We apply the Zeigarnik effect at this macro strategy level. You say, yeah, from the macro strategic perspective, let's have some plan of three main points we want to accomplish for a business world, and three major points we want to accomplish for a personal world. We have we have a strategic view. But then when we execute actual tasks, then at the execution level or tactical level, we can apply Hemingway rule as we go through actual tasks. So the strategy level, we apply Zeigarnik effect. At the execution level, we apply Hemingway rule because we are actually executing that specific tasks. So tying it back into taxes. So we said that we can focus on getting back a person into compliance for the last 6 years. So that's a strategic objective for now. Now, as we go through executing those tasks, and then I have a colleague who helps me with tax preparation and getting people in compliance. So he can apply Hemingway rule because when he gets most excited about his tax return and he feels it flows really good, he knows exactly what to do next. He's like, next I'll work on this and this state forms, and the process is really flowing, then he can stop and proceed the following day. And likewise, in your when you prepare your documents, sometimes it can be very overwhelming. I mean, generally, a good idea if you started something and the scope is fairly small, it's best to provide it right away. Send the email with the documents that our firm is requesting you. But sometimes we asking records for multiple years, and it's hard to get them. And it's very easy to get discouraged and say, man, I don't want to look for those records. It's discouraging, it's overwhelming, I quit. It's very easy to say that. But if we apply Hemingway approach to that, then we say you don't overwhelm yourself, but you provide something what you can. And what is gonna do that is gonna generate excitement in you. Because you submitted something. And then the following day you can provide data for another year. Challenge yourself for that year. That way you're building excitement rather than you tire out of the process. Like, what's the point? I don't want to provide all this data. I just go back to status quo.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I was thinking about application to the solving tax problem.
And you know what is interesting, that our life and the daily interactions so connected with our mental health, mentality, psychology, and we're talking about worry today also. That these even small things that we are talking about, when we start to doing them, they will drive other areas as well in health, physical, health of your soul, health of your spirit, and so I just feel to say something, like that if you in depression, or even we thought about people who are in really bad thoughts, like suicide or something.
Yeah, I
There's
mean, like if the guy's wife kicked him out to sleep on the couch, they're not like enjoying intimacy for a while,
yeah,
and like one like the number one problem, because families are collapsing, is actually financial issues.
yeah,
So imagine the guy kicked out the guy to sleep on the couch,
yeah.
and they became roommates more than spouses. That could easily lead somebody the path to depression.
Yes, yes. So the point is, when we start from small, I would say it's always gonna give us room for more freedom, for more decisions, and more clarity for the future, right? Sometimes we may be afraid of the future because the present is not as we want it to be, or something. The family issues, health issues, and start small, smart. Start where you are, and the suicide is not the answer.
I mean,
There's
like it's
something,
and Vasyl, like I think Vasyl, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you're talking about suicide because we went to the Fire in My Bones conference, and the speakers were saying that Quebec is the province with the highest rate of suicide in Canada, and then Vasyl and I, out of curiosity, we googled countries with the highest suicide rates, and the lowest suicide rates. So we got on the topic through the conference, and is it one of the reasons you started thinking in that direction?
Honestly, thinking about as a financial problems, not really that, but this also maybe somehow connected. But
I just want to talk to you, for example, why do you think the Philippines have the lowest suicide rate in the world?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know.
I mean, I send you some of their music, and you see, without even understanding, I know you don't understand their culture much,
Yeah.
but as a musician, what could you gather just from listening to some of those pieces?
What I felt, music is a universal language, right? So it was uplifting, I would say. Uplifting,
Yeah.
major, minor, if you're a musician, you understand what it is. So it was more on the major side. The rhythm was also interesting. It's not as we used to have in the Western world, maybe the same. It's not the same. Yeah, so
Yes, so
music
essentially it's
reflects
about
something.
the inner world, it's about inner spirit.
Yes.
If the spirit is inside is joyful and resilient, we can face life challenges. If the spirit is depressed and down, I mean, it's hard to face life challenges like that.
I just honestly wanted to say it because I just felt maybe somebody gonna listen, they feel down, and those thoughts are not like, sometimes you cannot then uproot them. It's like, if your brain is a garden, and you just walking there and uproot, and that's it. But they can return. That the depression, PTSD, and stuff. All these things are they real, but just we always want to say that there is a way. There's inspiration for all situations, and we can get better.
Yeah, and I really love Vasyl's point about starting small, because we have that verse in the Bible that says, "Do not despise the day of the small beginnings." And another one in Isaiah 61 says, "The small one." When God shows the vision to the people of Israel, they were a super small nation back then, surrounded by a lot of different tribes. They really felt outgunned and outpowered. So God, to encourage them, tells them this small one will become 1,000, and this 1,000 become 100,000 and so on. So they say this and this and this 1,000 will become a strong nation, and God will accelerate that. So God gives them the vision of, for the future. Say you're like a tiny nation right now, but I specialize in turning small things into big and great things if you are faithful to me, and that's the point of faithfulness. Jesus tells a story of the man who was faithful in the little things, and God would entrust even more things. And he says, the one who is faithful in the little things, more will be entrusted to him. But the one who is unfaithful in the little things, even what he has, will be taken away from him. So that idea of being faithful in the little first, and then it creates a multiplier effect as we grow, because it creates identity capital, and we know we can go further because we went through all the stages and we didn't skip anything. And it's like similar to loop layering. You study this concept, this block, and you build on it. So you build this structure, and you don't skip any layers. So that becomes the house built on rock, steady house. But if you skip, you make some shed, as a temporary solution, it's okay. But if you really want to solve the root cause, it's not good to skip around. You want to build really good, well-built and well-established house. So if you do that, you may be slower, but your house will be ultimately stronger, because you took slower steps and smaller steps, but you were not skipping around.
Yeah.
So the house, the construction is sturdy and strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is also about focus. It's not about hours that you may spend in reflection or something. There is certain things when we feel this clarity, right? Maybe this clarity comes to you even now as you listen to this, right? The clarity in your mind, the clarity in your thoughts. Hey, just write it down, like wherever it comes. As Hemingway was writing at night, there's also people that, they were creative in the past, who wrote music, who wrote other things, and sometimes this like 5-10 minutes can turn your life upside down, like in your meditation, your reflection, your prayer maybe, and just do this small things, right? Maybe also plan to do it next day intentionally more.
And surround yourself with the uplifting people. We talk about things such as music,
Mm-hmm.
but also psychologists say 5 closest people in your life, outside of your spouse and your kids, will define you.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure those 5 people you choose in your life, your closest confidants and friends, are the ones who uplift you, that encourage you that you can actually do it, rather than discourage, oh, come on, don't even start, you will never solve it. You want to create and shape your culture in such a way that will push you and encourage you to achieve your objectives.
Yeah.
The reason we are doing these conceptual talks, some people may say, what in the world does it have to do with taxes? The reason we do these conceptual talks, because it's like when you go to the pool and you want to do a somersault into the pool. Before you do that, you need to step on a springboard that will propel you into that pool.
Mm-hmm.
So laying out this conceptual framework is like building that springboard that will propel you into action and help you get unstuck and solve your tax problems. And so that you can see it conceptually, if you go to the bdance.com, and you will see it in the link below, the bdance.com, you can see the conceptual framework of how we conceptualize helping clients. So first we help people get out of the hole when their assets and income are drained. 90% paycheck garnishment, levies, liens, help them get out of the hole. But then if people were risk-taking enough to procrastinate with the IRS, the most brutal collection agency on the planet, then they must be having a risk-taking ability. So what if we harness that risk-taking ability towards entrepreneurship, one of the pinnacles of which is risk-taking? So if we harness that right and teach people color accounting, it can give people the tools to survive and thrive in business. And then we help people with access to capital with different loan programs. And then we help people, guide them through the process with the quarterly objectives and key reports, with the key performance indicators for your business to thrive, so that and it's all that with the goal in mind of possibly selling the business at a high multiple. And because I participated and advised in M&A transactions when one company was acquiring another one, I know how the end process looks like. So we can start with the end in mind. Yeah, I know that quite a few companies want to eventually sell well. So since I know how the process of selling works, I can apply it to your current circumstances and help you build it to that point with the outsourced CFO role and analysis. So that's the honeycomb hexagon with 6 services. But you see the conceptual framework and how they relate to each other, how we conceptualize the process. So I encourage you to go to that website and see which one applies to you specifically, with which one you want to get started. And I know 6 is overwhelming. That's why we go back to Zeigernic. Let's narrow the scope. See what's the most applicable to you right now. Let's start with that one. And then you have contact information on the website. If you want, you can call 929-399-9349. 929-399-9349. So take the action. Take the action, and let's apply the Zhanna approach. Because remember, I associate Zhanna with the birth of my son Freddie. And I believe when you apply Zhanna approach, it will birth a new stage of your life. Thank you guys for listening, and have a wonderful day. Cool bees.